Hi everyone, welcome to our webinar on unlocking the hidden savings and optimizing your office space in the hybrid era. My name is Veronica and I'm your host today. I am a product marketing manager at Spacewell. I am mainly responsible for working with market analysts like Gartner, Verdantix, where I always need to stay on top of all the trends that are happening within smart buildings, hybrid work, and workplace management. Obviously, I'm also responsible for case studies with our customers, so I talk a lot with all of you. So this is how I am always on top of all what is happening in the market. And today, I'm also happy to present to you a live demo of our space simulator feature, which is a new dashboard which can help you to calculate how much space you can cut and how much savings you can achieve by doing so. So let's start with our presentation. So first of all, we'll start with an introduction to Spacewell. It's going to be a very short one. I saw that some of people registered are already our customers, and I'm very happy to see you again. But some of you are, of course, new to our company, so I will make sure that I will quickly explain you what we do. We'll then go and have a look at how the office space demand evolution has been over the years. Then I've also prepared for you some hybrid news, things that I found interesting that are happening now, and again, how has it been evolving. Fourth one is we will see how you can measure office space usage using technology, sensors, and other methods. And we will end with the space simulator demo. So let's start with the introduction to Spacewell. So at Spacewell, we are dedicated to empowering our clients in the world of corporate real estate and workplace management. Our strength is that we have more than 30 years of experience in smart building technology, which made us become a leader in this dynamic industry. Our goal is simple. We make buildings work for people. We recognize that buildings are more than just a structure. Buildings is somewhere where we spend most of our lives is, so it's very important that all the buildings operation makes it comfortable for us to be in a building. As a team of impact-driven innovators, we are of course on top of all the new technologies to make sure our buildings and services are in constant state of interaction and optimization. Yes, so looking at the Spacewell solution, we have, of course, our biggest solution, which is a workplace by Spacewell, a solution that we will cover today. It's a combination of an integrated workplace management system, a mobile app, a smart building platform, together with analytics that helps you to effectively manage your workplace. Then we have a market-leading AI-driven energy management system to monitor and optimize your energy consumption. Last but not least, we have a maintenance solution, which is used for long-term maintenance planning and budgeting together with building compliance management. So as you can see, within a smart building industry, we can cover quite a lot of topics with our three solutions. We are trusted by more than 3,000 companies like Booking.com, Rabobank, Radisson, Accenture, Biobank, and there are many, many more. So here for our second topic, we will look at the evolution of space demand. So workplace space needs are no longer a simple equation. It's not that easy to predict your future space demand anymore. It's a bit like playing chess. You really need to make sure you have a strategic approach because each decision you make regarding the space allocation will have a significant impact on your future needs. Simply saying is that if you look at the evolution, in the past, office space demand would be equal to your headcount. So in the pre-corona times, you have 50 employees, you need more or less 50 desks because people are coming to the office every day. There is no hybrid work policy. Nowadays, of course, there are a lot more things you need to take into account. Of course, the headcount is still there. It's still very important. But then you also have your workplace policies. And here, again, depending on which policy you opt for, your office space demand will change. Some companies, they go for 2 days a week mandatory. Some go for 3 days a week. Some go for 5 days a week. But it's not only the workplace policy that counts because you also have employees' behavior. And what we see is that it's not because a company is enforcing a mandatory workplace policy that an employees are going to follow. We see that according to CBRE research, only 19% of companies state that employees are respecting fully what the company is requesting them to do. And then the fourth one, it's also the business requirements. When I talked to our customer of consultancy, he told me that for him it's quite difficult to plan an office space or to calculate how much space they would need sometimes, because a lot of the times the consultant, he's requested to work at a customer, and sometimes it happens quite last minute. Same when we talk about a law firm. Lawyers, today they are at the office, but then they have to quickly go to a customer. Will they come back? Will they not come back? We don't know. So the patterns, they change quite significantly. According to the CBRE Workplace and Occupancy Benchmarking Program, portfolio optimization remains the top corporate real estate team's goal, followed by cost reduction. When we talk about optimizing your portfolio, it's not only about reducing your portfolio, it can also be adding more people to or changing your workplace design. When we look deeper, when we ask them, okay, what is your number one expectation when it comes to portfolio size, the biggest percentage says that it will be significantly smaller. And by significant, it means more than 30%. And this expectation is mainly driven by EMEA region. So I think it's interesting for all of you to ask yourself a question. What's exactly your goal? Is it the cost savings or is it employee experience? Would you take a risk that an employee comes to the office but do not find a desk and his employee experience is reduced? However, your space and costs are then optimized. This is all very important to take into account before you are deciding for a specific strategic move. When it comes to hybrid demand planning process, I personally really like this framework. With the step one, you first, of course, need to understand your existing space supply. So how much space do you have? How many buildings do you have? And what type of space do you have? The second one is you measure current and future demand. So what are your current headcount projections? Are you planning to grow in headcount or are you planning to reduce? You then need to measure average and peak occupancy rates. This is used with sensors, IoT data, and smart building technology. Afterwards, you should compare your space occupancy, your occupancy at the office, with your workplace attendance policies. So if you require your people to come 3 days a week and you expect the following occupancy to be visible within in your software, in your dashboards, and it's still not the case, maybe you should see and identify what type of change management is then necessary to drive desired behaviors. For instance, at Spacewell, we offer our customers dashboards where they can also see how is it performing in terms of specific departments. So you can see that Department A is only coming to the office 10% of the time, but Department C is coming to the office 40% of the time. So it actually means that you should, as a workplace manager, go and talk to Department A, to the head, and see what is happening. Why are people not respecting your workplace policy? Step 3 is then calculating the space required for hybrid work, where you benchmark your space utilization and hybrid policies relative to industry and geography. So if you are in a bank, it's important that you look at your peers within the banking industry and within more or less your geography. We would recommend US versus EMEA. Why? Because if you want to be competitive when it comes to war on talent, if you want to recruit within your industry, then it's important to at least understand what is your competition or other players in your industry doing. Secondly, you then calculate average and maximum occupancy to understand how much actually people should be present at the office while still taking into account other internal and external benchmarks and workplace policies. For example, for us on a Wednesday, external benchmark, external influence, let's say, is that we have people coming from an office in the Netherlands. So it's a product day where people are coming to Antwerp from other offices, and which makes it that the maximum occupancy is way higher than what we normally see. So this is something that you could also take into account. And then how do you mitigate this? And then the fourth one would then be you implement this hybrid plan. So to optimize space, you identify any space changes that are needed to repurpose on or eliminate underutilized space in alignment with this specific hybrid program that you have introduced. One example that comes to mind to me is that we have a customer in Amsterdam who was planning to move from 6 offices to 1 building. They weren't yet sure what the employee behavior will be and how the space is going to be used exactly, because it's a new building. Therefore, they decided that out of those 10 floors, they will keep 2 floors empty, unfurnished, and then see what the behaviors are and to then furnish it later. So what they have seen is that currently the desk occupancy is quite okay, it's not too high, while the meeting room occupancy is extremely high and all the time occupied, basically from 8 to 6. They also did some surveys with employees, and they realized that employees at these specific companies primarily come to the office to collaborate and interact. That's why meeting rooms are always full, while the desks are not that full because they mostly do the focused work, individual work at their home. So in this case, the 2 floors that were unfurnished, they are now planning to install meeting rooms. So this was also an interesting way of looking on how you can measure, understand, and then optimize. And then as a 5th step, you have to measure again and again, because everything is always changing. Employee demands are also going to change. So you then repeat the hybrid planning process on a recurring basis to identify those other space optimization opportunities over time. Okay, and now we'll go into the hybrid news to see what's happening in the world. So looking at Google was quite a shocking example for me, because this company previously, they were known to be like offering everything when you come to the office. You had free meal, you had a free yoga class, massage. They really wanted to make life of their employees as comfortable as possible to make sure they spend most of their time at the office. But now Google announced in 2023 that they need to share desks after pushing return to office plan. And in this case, employees are encouraged to have a sparing partner to alter the days to, for instance, come Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday and Thursday. Again, is it good or not? Well, for Google, it's good because it optimizes the real estate efficiency and their costs. Of course, for employees, it gives them way less flexibility. If you have kids and you want to finish earlier, avoid commute time on Wednesday, and most of people, they want to do that, then this is not going to work, right? You kind of remove flexibility for some of them. And then also Google executives, they've communicated that they were expecting to incur costs that are related to reduced global office space in the current quarter in order to save costs on space usage in the future. Another example is Meta, Facebook. So there were a lot of articles that I found that says that Meta's mandatory return to the office was a mess. Employees who were forced to come to the office, they complained that there was even a lack of office space and that they had to sit on the floor in a conference room. Of course, it's quite shocking to see that Facebook went from one extreme to another, because 2 years ago, their CEO announced that everyone who works full-time is eligible to apply for a fully remote position. And now they are reversing this trend, and they are basically forcing everyone to come back to the office. Adam Mosseri, which is the head of Instagram, wrote that we have, quote, "We have not yet figured out hybrid work. Assigned desks mean lots of empty chairs. Hotel desks means a lot of unfamiliar faces. Pods are good for privacy, but they take up a ton of space. We have a lot to figure out." Then, to my surprise, I also still found a lot of companies who are going for a 5-day-a-week office mandatory mandate. So it's quite surprising to see that, because we know most of employees do want to have a hybrid office option. However, when I was reading, for instance, about UPS, I understand their logic in a way, because a lot of their workers who work in a warehouse, they need to be at the warehouse every day. So they start complaining that, okay, why is that the office workers can work from home and have this flexibility, avoid commute time? Why can't we have the same? This approach, of course, can lead to expensive consequences, like employees might be leaving the company, and then it would require extra costs for you to hire and train new employees. So to summarize, if we can summarize it in a trend, I would say that in the past, managers, they struggled to get employees back in the office, because there was war on talent and there was a fear of losing valuable talent. However, with recent layoffs and weakening economy, some employees now, they feel pressured to return to the office. So number 4 is, let's see, how do we measure the office space currently? So of course, what you want to do is you want to come from a static workplace design to a return on investment driven space optimization, and really see that your space is utilized at the best variant possible, right? Where you potentially reduce the space or you do a workplace redesign. You can maybe install more meeting rooms or more concentration booths, really depending on the behavior and the data that you see. So there are multiple ways that you can track the occupancy at the office, right? You can also track it with just your badge that employees need to scan, for example. How do we do it at Spacewell with our customers? So we are big believers in a sensor technology, because this type of data is a lot more granular and you can really see the occupancy trends per hour and where are the peaks and in which location, in which space, which department. So it gives you a lot more possibilities to really analyze and perform a diagnostic. So once we install the sensors, as you can see here at the left, the data collection, this data is then sent to the real-time monitoring platform. So we create a digital floor plan of your office space where you can see what is happening live on your floor. Further on, it's then analyzed in our workplace analytics platform where you can see a lot of interesting insights. And then as a next advanced step, you can also see how can you then optimize your workplace concepts and maybe what are your saving opportunities in terms of space and rental price. At Spacewell, we are sensor agnostic. We do not endorse any specific sensor, so you can use sensor providers, so you can use whatever you prefer. If you have existing sensor, just with a webhook, you can link them. And as an example, we have, of course, headcount sensors, footfall, occupancy, temperature, humidity, and so on. And I'm going to show you some examples that we use at our office in Antwerp and also in the Netherlands. So for occupancy, we install a Browan sensor. We install it under the desk. For headcount, headcount is used to calculate how many people are sitting in a meeting room to see if you have, let's say, all the time 3 people sitting in a meeting room of 10, then it means that you need to have more meeting rooms of 3 people rather than having big meeting rooms of 10. So for this is headcount, and we have point grab, which we use in case our customer wants to have a cabled sensor solution. And we have a wireless headcount from VergeSense, where if you prefer to use a wireless headcount, then this is an option for you. An example of a company I found in the US that used our software in 2019. They've installed occupancy sensors together with our software. They have measured the occupancy and they've simulated the ideal work environment. And after 1 year of measurements across 6 floors, they moved to another location in Boston because they have realized that they can downsize by 23% in terms of space. And this represented for them a valued savings of $2.6 million that they could then reinvest in the new move or a new fit out. Yes. And last but not least, we'll go into the new space simulator demo. So previously, we already had some similar dashboards, which were called Opportunity Simulator, but that we then optimized and now relaunched it as a new space simulator. It's basically a tool or a dashboard which allows you to simulate your space reduction opportunities and unlock hidden savings. So first, as well as also planning for growth if you want to add more people in your building. So I've created some scenarios to show you. So you have scenario A, where you want to see, for instance, how much space can I cut and how much savings it represents. Another scenario we have is, for instance, we have a customer who wants to close one of their buildings and add those people in the other building. And so in order to calculate how many people they can add in this other building, they do capacity simulation. So this is scenario number 2. And the third one is benchmarking. So how is one building compares to another building in terms of occupancy and utilization. So here you can even play with targets that then are going to be color coded. Your results are color coded, but we are going to look at it during the live demo. So how does Space Simulator works before we start looking at it? So we first capture your data from sensors and also from some configuration data from your IWMS, which is like how big are your rooms. We then capture the following parameters: your average occupancy, peak occupancy, occupancy spread, average utilization, peak utilization, utilization spread, meeting square meter per room, space categories, and so on. Further on, we need to perform some manual inputs. So there we put what is your cost per square meter, number of people per building, and number of square meter per space type. There are also some other simulation parameters that we can discuss later as well, but it's clean desk policy and risk factor. Putting all of this together, then we can simulate your opportunities. So how much opportunity number A is how much space you can save and how much would it represent in terms of financial gain. Number 2 is your workplace capacity. So can you add more people, or should you even remove some people from a specific building or floor? And C is the benchmarking of workplaces. So it's color coded, so you can really see how is your building performing in terms of in comparison to other buildings. And now let's quickly go into the live demo. So you have 3 different simulation type scenarios. You have A, saving simulation, B, capacity simulation, and C, benchmark, right? So we are in a building which has, in Eindhoven, which has 517 workspaces with an average occupancy of 38% and with a maximum occupancy of 75. What does it mean? I can already see here, based on this KPI, that, since we only have 38% average occupancy, I see there is already a potential for some space reduction and portfolio optimization. What else can we indicate here? First, we need to say what is the average square meter per workspace. Then you also indicate what is your clean desk policy. Is it 1 hour, 2 hour, or 4 hour? In some of our customers, they say, okay, if you are not present at your desk for more than 2 hours, then you need to take your things from the desk and make sure somebody else can use this desk. Because if you're the whole day in a meeting room and other person cannot use the desk, then this is space which is lost, right? So let's say we have it at 2 hours. Then you can also change your currency depending on in which country you are situated. I'm in Europe. Then here you calculate your rental costs average per square meter per year. So here we also recommend to include your cleaning costs as well, and heating, and so not only your rental costs, but it depends again how you want to do it. Then let's go and click on simulation type savings number 1. And we go into the simulation. So in this case, in our building in Eindhoven, we see that we have 517 workspaces and with the following parameters that we have indicated. We have 42 that are often vacant that we could cut, and which represents a total yearly saving of 34,000 euros. However, this is while taking into account that I want to have 100% of my workspaces available. So it means that every single time people are coming to the office, they have a desk. So even if it's just very rarely, the 2 times per year, you have everyone at the office at the same time, you still want to have everyone to have a desk. However, this is not something that we necessarily recommend. We say that, okay, you could potentially, if those days happen only 1 or 2 times a year, then why not take a risk and maybe ask those people to work in a canteen, or find other ways to optimize. And for example, say that in 80% of the time, 82% of the time, there is a workspace available. In this case, then the yearly vacancy saving is going to be 4 times more, which is then 120,000 euros. So you can really play with this workspace available filter. Here you have also collaboration space. In this particular case, a customer doesn't have any concentration spaces. So in a collaboration space, however, we see that there is no such big potential for a reduction. And now we go back to start. So this was scenario 1. And there you also have a capacity simulation scenario. So this is how many people you can add to your building. So in here, I can see that in the following building, I can basically fit extra 45 people. And here again, you can adapt the number of persons. You can adapt the clean desk policy, how many workspaces available. It's still on 82. So again, depending on what are your specific requirements, everything can be simulated in different ways. And for the last simulation scenario is the benchmarking. Here, actually, I don't want to select one particular building. I want to have it maybe all together. So you can see here in the buildings to the left, you can select more buildings. So I see those all those buildings, and currently my average occupancy lowest target is placed at 30 and highest is placed at 45. But that's why everything that is below 30 is red and everything that is above 30 is orange. However, now I can play with those targets, and I could say that my average occupancy lowest is 10%. Then, as you can see, the data is then way better. It looks already much more orange, much more medium and on track. We have, of course, a consultant who is really specialized in this tool, who can help you with any questions, or if you want to go much more in detail, he's also available to help you with the following dashboards. Okay, now let me go back to my presentation. Yes, so that was the end of our webinar. If you have any questions, I suggest that you just send them to me. I'm very happy to connect with you. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can probably also see my name in the invitation. You can send me an email. It's veronica.corchuno@spacewell.com. And I will make sure that I will coordinate different teams to come back to you with a specific answer, no matter what you would be searching for. Thank you very much for joining. I'm also going to be sending a survey so that you can indicate if it was useful for you, and also give me some suggestions on what do you want to see more. Is it a demos, or is it potentially another webinar on employee experience features? Is it more the trends that you want to be discussing? Let me know. I'm more than curious to know what your requests are. And yeah, thank you very much for joining, and I hope to see you for another webinar.